Guys, I need to talk to you about Maya. It's serious. This morning at the airport, when I was on my way back from that business trip, I walked in on Darnell and he was having lunch with some woman. I walked in on him and she was feeding him a strawberry.
A strawberry. Yeah, he's cheating on her.
Well, I mean, he must be doing something. When I walked in, Darnell was a little too friendly and chatty, and she disappeared a little too quickly. That women have a certain gut instinct about these matters. It's something nature gave us as a defense in case we run into a dog. She was feeding him, Maya, a strawberry. I don't go around feeding my coworkers fruit.
No, you're just trying to have my back, okay? But I know my husband. I know Darnell, and he would never, ever cheat on me. Are you cheating on me? Joan was at the airport this morning and said she saw you with some woman. Who was she, Darnell?
Cecily.
Cecily? But Joan was saying that you two were acting all guilty.
Oh, so that's it? Your girl fills your head with some silly idea and you believe her, not me?
Why don't you just admit it, Darnell?
Admit what? You've already convinced yourself that I can't be trusted. So you believe what you want. Maya is my woman, and I'm looking out for her. So don't you worry about it.
Ever wasn't. Sorry, I said anything. I was shutting up.
I don't believe him. And the fact that he felt compelled to come in here and state his case makes me think he's feeling guilty about something. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know how far it went, but I'll tell you one thing. It's not going any further.
Hey, y'all. Today, we have to talk about one of the most talked about and controversial episodes of Girlfriends. Season 1, Episode 7, Everything Fishy Ain't Fish. If you're not familiar with the title, this is the episode where Cecily feeds Darnell a strawberry and Joan sees it. Now, the episode asks us several questions that we really have to ponder on. And I feel like at different stages of life, your answer may be very different. But one, was Darnell wrong for letting Cecily feed him? And is that cheating? Two, if you were Joan and you saw this, would you tell your friend what you saw? And three, if you were Maya and your friend just shared this about your spouse, would you tell your spouse who told you? There's a lot going on in this episode. I have a lot of opinions, y'all. This one is so crazy, but I will tell you this. This is one of the first times we meet Darnell. I hated him ever since, and I never let that go. I have never liked Darnell. We got a lot to get into, so let's get started. Hey y'all, thank you so much for clicking on my video, and thank you even more for watching Chats and Chill. I'm your host, SharionSade, and today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 7, Everything Fishy Ain't Fish. Now, right out the gate, I already know what I would do. In all scenarios, if I saw my friend's husband being fed by someone else, if I felt like I should or shouldn't tell my friend,
on his heels.
I already know what I would do. But I'm going to recap the episode and then I'm going to give you my opinion at the end. I'm going to do my damnedest to wait to the end. But this is one of those episodes that I don't just watch willy-nilly because it gets the heart pumping. Because what do you mean somebody feeding somebody's husband a strawberry? What do you mean by that? Baby, they wouldn't have to wait for me to tell Maya anything because Cecily would still be at the hospital getting her hand reattached when I kicked it off the wrist. Because what do you mean you holding a strawberry to my friend's husband's mouth? And speaking of that mouth, he will be at the dentist getting his teeth put back in when I use my other foot to kick him. Because what do you mean you being fed by another woman? All your friends are just gone down your throat. Play with me if you want to, but I am a good friend and an even better boss because you don't do that to my employee. How dare you? So anyway, I did not like Darnell after this episode, and I never saw anything in him that made me rethink that decision. Trashy man. But in my opinion, this is the first instance of infidelity. I will tell you why. Hold your horses. I'll tell you why. But I'm going to recap the episode first. Oh yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let me make sure I say that. So the episode opens up with Joan, Lynn, William, and Maya out to lunch. But when Toni shows up, she's sharing these campaign stickers or campaign pins from her new partner. He is running for mayor. And as she's passing these out, Maya realizes she has some errands to run, so she leaves. So once Maya leaves and Toni sits down, Joan, who's been sitting there breaking bread with this woman this whole time, was sitting on a secret. She tells the rest of the friends, hey y'all, I have a question. I was getting off a plane. I decided to stop by and say hi to Darnell because he's a baggage handler. When I walked up, I saw him eating with another woman. The woman was feeding him a strawberry. When I went over to say hi, he was just a little too friendly and a little too chatty, and the woman dipped the scene real quick. They acted guilty. They acted like they'd been caught. My gut tells me something was wrong. Toni says, oh, a strawberry? Oh yeah, he's cheating on her. And listen, one of my favorite traits of Toni's is that she does not pull punches. Now, she didn't say this to Maya, who would have undoubtedly been crushed by this news. She says it to everybody else. Like, hey, my opinion is that he was cheating. Is that the question? Because that's the answer that I have. But Joan is not only asking, do y'all think he was cheating? But her second question is, should I tell Maya what I saw? That's fair. That's a fair question. William is kind of more along the lines of, are you being logical right now? Now, again, both Joan and William are attorneys. And he basically accuses Joan of exaggerating the issue. He's basically saying, hey, it's a piece of fruit, friends going out to lunch, you really didn't see anything, and they were just being friendly. What is there to even tell? On one hand, while I do think William is incel coded and a little bit aloof sometimes when it comes to women, I also think he's right in this situation as far as Joan using her intuition and her instincts as a form of evidence. Do not do that. Just share the facts. Because what they have to do from that point forward is take this information and make a decision. How will I move forward? Will I confront them about this? Do I need to investigate further? They are now tasked with a lot of emotional and mental labor. They don't necessarily need your intuition and your anxiety and your feelings to ponder along with that. And they also don't need to take on your feelings about the case. They need to be able to decipher their own. If you are sharing something like that with someone, whether you know for a fact or not, you could walk in on Darnell sleeping with the woman, for goodness sake. If you are telling someone something you saw, the best way to go about it is to be compassionate and be direct and let them have it. Show up for them if they need emotional support, but do not try to tell them how to handle it, and do not share what you think about it or what you would do in their scenario. It just causes so much extra workload for them to decipher through. And also it could put a lot of pressure on them to make a decision right now or react a certain way when really they need to just simply process the information, not your emotion, because they're going to have their own emotion. They're going to have their own response. Their anxiety and their instinct and their intuition is also going to be doing its own job. They don't need yours to also process along with that. And to be fair, it puts a lot of pressure on the other person, feeling as if they either have to believe you or they have to believe their spouse. But in actuality, they should really only have the facts to concern themselves with in this phase. If they want to take this further and investigate, if they want to confront their spouse, if they want to sneak around and find out, if they want to discard it altogether, or if they want to believe it wholeheartedly, they are able to do that on their own. And all they really need from you is to share the information and to offer support.
If you want a conviction here, you're going to have to plant a weapon or a glove or something.
No. And you've got to realize that women have a certain gut instinct about these matters. It's something nature gave us as a defense in case we run into a dog.
Women's intuition is real for a lot of women. A lot of women have realized something was off by trusting their instincts and intuition. I get that. But for a lot of people, and in a lot of cases, it's anxiety. Sometimes we can think, oh gosh, this is following a certain pattern, and we could be right. Or because we've been harmed in the past or we've observed something in the past, we can jump to conclusions because we're trying to protect ourselves. And in both cases, our anxiety and our intuition is simply trying to protect us. We may not be weighing the actual facts because we don't see the whole picture. And if we already have our predetermined outcome in mind before we even see everything, we may not really be seeing what's going on. It's not that we see what we want to see, but we see what's familiar to us. And we react rashly when really there may not be anything going on. I don't think that's what's happening here though, at all. I think, yes, if a woman is feeding a man a strawberry, there is romance involved here in some kind of way. Because as long as Darnell's hands work, why are you feeding him? I've never had no friend who fed me, and I damn sure never had no friend whose spouse fed me. So no, that'll never make sense. And even if you do have a friend like that, okay, so they can get popped in the mouth. You got to learn one way or the other. Somebody come reaching towards you, I don't care, break their wrist. Don't let somebody feed you. Are you crazy? Anyway, William doesn't agree with Joan. He doesn't think she should tell Maya. But Toni doesn't weigh in one way or the other. Neither does Lynn. Neither of them say, yes, you should tell her, or no, don't tell her. But they both seem to be on the same page that behavior sounds suspicious, because it does. So the next day at work, Joan decides to throw out a hypothetical scenario to Maya to find out what she would want someone to do. So she creates a story and frames it as if another person was caught cheating, and should she tell the spouse? She keeps asking Joan, who is this hypothetical about? Who are you talking about? And finally Joan says, okay, it's about William. He's been dating this woman named Danielle. I think I saw her cheating. I'm wondering if I should tell him. So Maya is like, oh my God, I didn't even know he had a girlfriend. So later when they're all coming back from lunch, Joan goes into her office and Maya brings up to William, hey, I know what's going on with Danielle. She is wrong for cheating on you. And he has no clue what she's talking about. And she was like, yeah, Danielle, the woman that Joan saw cheating on you. And he was like, oh, right, that cheating heifer. Like, he realizes, like, oh, shit, she must have used me to gauge how Maya felt. He tries to play along, but Maya catches on real quick. I told you, she is very sharp. She pulls William into Joan's office and is like, tell me what's going on right now.
Wait, so he was sitting next to this woman and that means he was cheating on me?
She was feeding him, Maya, a strawberry.
How close were they sitting?
Close enough. I don't know. Look, I saw something and it was kind of strange, and I thought you'd want to know. It was just a feeling. End of story.
Oh, right, a feeling, huh? What about your feeling that Lynn was only going to be in your house for a week, and the feeling that you'd be married by the time you're 27, and that, oh, no one would ever spend $99 for a kid's scooter? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know you're just trying to have my back, okay? But I know my husband. I know Darnell, and he would never, ever cheat on me, okay? If he could find someone better than all this, and he needs to go, hell, I'll even pack him a lunch.
This is where I think Joan did way too much. Maya is sitting there and she asks Joan, how close were they sitting? And Joan says, close enough. First of all, watch your tone. And that's not a fact. That's an opinion. How close were they sitting? She didn't say, were they sitting far enough away for me to give it plausible deniability, or were they sitting close enough for me to make an assumption? She didn't ask all that. She said, how close were they sitting? Allow this woman to come to her own conclusion by telling her what you saw, not how you felt about what you saw. And so Joan saying close enough changes the tone of it, because in one scenario, yes, you're looking out for your friend, but it's almost like she went from looking out for her friend to trying to convince her friend to believe her husband was cheating, rather than sharing what she saw so that her friend could decide one way or the other. Those are very different experiences, especially for the person receiving the information. Have the perspective of, you've done enough. I don't always have to have a firm label on something. Disrespect doesn't have to fit neatly in a box. If you are letting another woman treat you or behave with you another way that you know I wouldn't be okay with, you are crossing a line, and I don't need that to fit into a cheating box. I can just say, hey, that's not appropriate, and I don't want to be married to someone who would do that kind of thing. I don't want to be married to someone who would make decisions like that, who would think so little of me that they would allow that kind of disrespect to our union, but also who doesn't know better. I want to marry a smart person. I want to be married to someone who considers my feelings in all ways. And if you didn't know better than that, then you don't know enough to be married to me. It doesn't have to be called cheating to be called wrong. And in this case, that's my approach. But for Maya, for someone to lead with cheating and then to say they were having lunch with someone, and then when I say, well, how close were they sitting? Close enough. I would wonder that you're trying to convince me rather than trying to help me, because it happens. And for Maya, you have to weigh all possibilities, because this is a lot coming at you. I wouldn't blindly believe anybody, not a coworker, not a husband, not a friend, not a bestie, not a family member. I wouldn't blindly believe anybody. You have to come to me with information that I can use. And your instinct isn't information I can use. And so the strawberry thing is what makes all the difference here. Not how they acted after the fact, not how chatty and friendly Darnell was. None of that really matters. What matters is the strawberry and being fed. That, in my opinion, is the game changer. That takes this from being a friendly coworker lunch to at least being inappropriate at best, but more than likely this is cheating. Neither of which should be determined by Joan or projected onto Maya from Joan. Just share what you saw. And so Maya gets a bit defensive, and I do get that. I don't agree with it. I get it. She's protecting herself by protecting her marriage in this case. Now, I want to also talk about Maya in this scenario. Up until this point, the only thing we know about Maya is that she's married with a kid. We know that she is unfulfilled in her career, and we know that she is unfulfilled in her pursuit of an education. We know that she has big dreams, but she hasn't gotten there yet, and she's looking for ways to succeed. So all she has under her belt right now as leverage over everyone else is that she's the one that's married, because she throws it in their face all the time. She heavily identifies as a married woman. Now, here's the thing. She is a married woman, but it's such a big part of her identity that she leads with it. So what you're telling her right now isn't that your husband may be cheating on you. You're telling her right now, your whole life is about to change. You're going to have to find a whole new way to exist. And the person you thought you were partnering with through life and raising your son with could be a person who's not only harming you, but is untrustworthy and that you'll have to part from. You went from being a married woman this morning with a 2-income household and a child to the possibility of you being a single woman at the end of the day. And she puts up a veneer. The mask comes up. The ego jumps out. And she immediately says, child, I'll be putting it on my husband. And if he has enough energy after all I be doing to him to be with another woman, hell, I'll pack his bag myself. Oh, that ego was loud because she was so insecure. That ego said, step back, Maya. I got this. I'm gonna protect you. She's not trying to convince Joan of anything. She's trying to convince herself. This is a lot. And I feel really bad for Maya, especially learning something like this at work. Now, I would have just gone home. But anyway, later that night, Darnell is also working late. Now, Miss Shantae from Two Can Play That Game already told us what was going on when a man says,
I was working late.
That's right. I was working late.
I was working late. So that was already like, working late, huh? With an active investigation into your fidelity going on? Okay. So he walks in and Maya tests him by trying to seduce him. Now, okay, maybe this is just me. I don't know. But if there is even a question of fidelity, the last thing I'm going to let you do is touch my body. Okay, Maya, I guess. But he comes home, he's getting undressed, and she's trying to seduce him. But he's like, hey, I'm too tired. I can't. So because he won't respond to her sexually, which again is the first thing she mentioned being the thing that keeps her husband in line is her sex. Once he showed disinterest in that, it's almost like for her, it confirmed what Joan's suspicions were. And she immediately says, are you cheating on me?
Are you cheating on me? Joan was at the airport this morning and said she saw you with some woman.
You know what? I've been working all day and I'm tired and I really, really don't need this.
Oh, really? Who was she, Darnell?
Cecily.
Joan was saying that you two were acting all guilty.
Oh, so that's it? Your girl fills your head with some silly idea and you believe her, not me?
Why don't you just admit it, Darnell?
Admit what? After everything we've been through together, have I ever given you a reason to doubt me, Maya?
Where are you going?
Sleep on the sofa until I cool off. Or you come to your senses.
Yo, I'm gonna sleep on the floor.
You get a whole lot more information when you be quiet. I swear by it. I know y'all probably can't tell because I be yapping on this channel, but truthfully, if you ask a question and then just sit back and let people talk and talk and talk, they'll tell you everything you want to know and everything you didn't even need to know. They'll tell you the whole story from back to front, up, down, in and out, from yesterday to the day before to last year. You'll end up learning so much you don't have a question afterwards. No follow-up because they told it all. Let people talk. I would have just asked him, hey, someone said they saw you having lunch with another woman and she was feeding you a strawberry. What was going on with that? What you should be concerned about is the action, not the box that you put it in, but the action itself. Is it appropriate for another woman to be feeding your husband a strawberry? No. So whether you call it cheating or not, this shouldn't have been happening in the first place. And I need a reason why you were letting that happen. What exactly were you doing? And that's the question I would have asked. He sleeps on the couch. She goes into work the next day, running late because she didn't get any sleep. They were up all night fighting or she was up all night worrying. And she comes and she tells Joan, and Joan is like, she let him flip the script. Oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, Joan, anyway, pipe down. So later that night, Darnell comes to pick Maya up from work. Now, this is the first time in 7 episodes that we've seen him do this, which lets me know this was intentional and premeditated. He comes to pick up Maya from work. He goes into Joan's office. Maya steps out, which makes me wonder if they coordinated this. Like, did you ask him to explain this to Joan? Because why would you exit the moment your husband enters? I know she said, I got to grab my things to go. But if my husband comes to pick me up from work, I don't expect him to go into my boss's office. And if he does, I'm going to stick around and figure out what the hell's going on. That's just me. Maya was not a girl's girl. And I will give you more about that later. So he goes in and he starts off decent. He's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, what was going on the other day when you ran into me at work. And she was kind of like, okay, but you don't have to explain anything to me. And he was like, I know, but I want to. Cecily is an old friend and sometimes we have lunch together. She's a cool girl and that's it. But nothing was going on. So Joan backpedals. I'm like, where's the attorney here? Stand up. She backpedals and she was like, okay, I don't know what I saw. I just got off a long flight. I've been watching a crazy movie. I was hungry. I was blah, blah, blah. So maybe I just didn't know what I saw. I didn't know. Girl. And he was like, okay. And she goes, I was just a friend trying to look out for my girlfriend. He was like, well, Maya is my wife and she doesn't need you to look out for her because I'm doing that.
I love my wife and I've got nothing to hide. So whatever you think you saw, you didn't. Cecily is a flight attendant and a friend of mine. We started working for the airline at the same time. She's cool people and sometimes we have lunch together. And that's it.
Okay, you don't need to explain yourself to me. I'm sorry I said anything. I'm just a girl who thought she was looking out for her girl.
Yeah, well, Maya is my woman and I'm looking out for her. So don't you worry about it.
Okay. So Joan is like, okay, understood. So he leaves. Maya's been standing in the doorway listening to this and she was like, okay, listen, I know clearly something is now going on because he wouldn't have felt the need to explain himself to you if he wasn't feeling guilty. Several things. First of all, from the perspective of Maya, I'm not letting my husband confront anybody because I wouldn't have told him who said it. Sue me. I wouldn't have told him. I love my husband down. But if someone I care about came to me and said, I saw your husband do this thing and I was concerned about it, I would simply investigate the thing and then I would confront my husband if need be. I might go back to them and say, hey, turned out to be nothing, but thank you for letting me know, girl. I really appreciate you looking out for me. Might be something. I might say, hey, it turned out to be something. Turns out I'm gonna need somewhere to stay, girl. Like, but what I wouldn't do is tell him. And if he asked me, I would just sincerely say, honestly, it doesn't matter who saw this. This being seen by anybody would be a problem. What exactly was going on? And I would turn the attention back to whatever the thing was. I would not let him get off by deflecting to the other person and their intentions. 2, if I know I done spilled the beans, which I wouldn't, but let's say I did, I'm not letting my husband approach another person, especially not a woman. But here's the thing. I didn't marry a man who would do some shit like that. Like, if my husband approached a woman on some confrontational shit, I'm not even letting that go down. I redirect your focus back to the damn car. Because no, what we're not going to do is that. And to be fair, if I'm Joan and Darnell had come into the office to talk to me, I would have immediately told him, this is not open for discussion. I won't be having this conversation with you. I can appreciate that this matters, but the only person who needs an explanation is Maya. That has nothing to do with me beyond this point. And if he persisted, I would have said, Darnell, I think the world of you, but if you continue to do this, I will have to have security come remove you from my office. I am not comfortable with this conversation. You and I don't need to have this kind of conversation. And I would have held my ground. I damn sure wouldn't have backpedaled. I wouldn't have said it must be in flight. No, you know what you saw. Stand by what you saw. Because at the end of the day, if I'm Maya and you're now backpedaling on everything you're saying, I would be like, damn, if she's so unsure about what she saw, but she was so sure about how she felt about it, and she projected all that onto me, now I'm about to doubt everything you're saying. No matter how you slice it, no matter what you do or would have done, the perpetrator and the person committing the betrayal puts all this responsibility and undue pressure on everyone else and more than likely absolves it for themselves. He was the one letting a woman feed him, yet now we have Maya having to consider whether or not her boss is lying to her or whether or not her husband's lying to her and whether or not she should stay or go or who is Cecily and what is she doing. And now you have Joan contemplating whether or not she should even tell Maya, and is she wrong for telling Maya, and should she have shared it, and whether or not William or Toni or Lynn are correct. Like, you put all this pressure on everyone else when the perpetrator himself is the one that should have to bear the brunt of it all. It's very frustrating for me, which is why I say it's not black or white, because it is circumstantial. Let's say for this scenario, Maya might be in a situation with a husband where she can't leave, the presence of financial abuse or any other type of abuse or oppression, or she's isolated and doesn't have anyone, or this could be dangerous for her or everyone else. I understand people having to weigh the pros and cons, because sometimes telling the person that their spouse is doing something could actually be putting them in danger. There are a lot of very insane and abusive people out there. What happened was very ambiguous, except I'm going to be very fair. Feeding someone anything is indecent no matter how you slice it. And again, whether I put that in the cheating box, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what I label it. What I know it is inappropriate, and I would respond to that. That's inappropriate. I don't want to be married to someone who would do something so indecent.
All this hair isn't mine, but technically it is because I bought it. But my real hair is short and this other hair is sewn into it so that I can have long hair.
You're beautiful. I don't care about your weavy thing.
Tim Borton for mayor.
She's the embodiment of what this city is all about. Diversity. Her hair is a weave. Her own African-American hair is enhanced with strands of Korean hair.
Miss, yeah, you with the weave. What's your name? We didn't catch your name.
My name? Joan Clayton.
Toni has had the B plot of the episode. She has been dating a white man. He is a politician and he's running for mayor. They finally decide to sleep together. She tells him that she has a weave because she doesn't want him to, one, be freaked out because it is a little different if he's never been exposed to that, but two, she doesn't want him to mess it up when they're having sex. He's super cool about it. Well, when they're having sex, once they finish having sex, he's asking all these questions. And here's the thing. I would normally be like, okay, why are you all in her business? Leave it alone. She told you she had a weave. Let it go. Research on your own time. But you can kind of tell that he felt safe enough and endeared to ask her about it, because this man said, is it like macrame? That told me everything I needed to know about his intentions. And I was like, very rarely would I say this, but girl, cut him some slack. Just tell him what's going on. He clearly wants to know. He's just curious. And maybe if you had told him what it was, he wouldn't have done what he later did. He was so enthused about her hair. He learned about kitchens and BDBs for the first time. Toni exposed this man to a whole new world. Well, later, during his mayoral campaign, he's giving a press conference and he uses her weave as an analogy. He says, I want to weave together the cultures of Los Angeles so that we can come together and enrich each other with knowledge about one another, coming together from opposing sides to blend to make this wonderful city like her weave. My girlfriend is an African-American woman with Korean hair. See, this is one of those problems where you tell somebody just enough for them to be problematic, but not enough for them to know what to do and what not to do. And baby, this is a what not to do. So wait, why did one of the reporters say, ma'am, you there? Yes, you with the weave. His campaign would have been over because he would have been dead. But then the person says, hey, what is your name? Now, Toni is humiliated because this is broadcast. And he says, you, what's your name? And this woman says, Joan Clayton, and runs off. This is the perfect ending to this episode. When I tell you, I forgot all about this part and I was in tears. Oh my God, I love this episode so much. But yes, she dumps her man because he embarrassed her in front of all of Los Angeles. And that is episode 7. Everything fishy ain't fish. Girlfriends. Something else I wanted to note about this episode. The title, Everything Fishy Ain't Fish. It's almost implying there's a deception here, but it might not be what we think. And in my opinion, it is what we think. Everything fishy, meaning something suspicious, may not be anything at all. I don't agree with that here. I think Joan's response to it and the way she handled it was callous. And in my opinion, it was careless. But at the end of the day, someone feeding your partner anything is inappropriate. And see how exaggerating the issue, exacerbating it with your own emotion, completely derailed the conversation that needed to be had? Had Joan not infused her own intuition and anxiety and her gut feeling, had she not done all that, had she not been, he was sitting close enough and it just looked weird and it looked strange, had she not exacerbated the issue with all of these and these examples and all of this, she infused so much of her own personal experience. I did not care for that. Had she not done that, had she not, in my opinion, wound Maya up, but also had Maya said, I just need to know what happened. Thank you for telling me. I just need to know exactly what happened, not how you feel about it. Had Maya just taken the facts and asked him about the facts, the real conversation would have been had. Because if she had just approached him and said, hey, I was told that you were letting a woman feed you fruit. What's going on? Had she simply asked him, he wouldn't have had enough leverage to pull himself out of that by saying, oh, you're accusing me. Nope. I need to know what's going on though. And if a man were feeding me and you saw that or someone saw that, I would hope that you would ask me about it and feel comfortable enough to ask me about it because I would damn sure have an explanation. My arms was tied behind my back because I was getting kidnapped and I asked for a drink of water. That's why they were feeding me. Now your turn. Like, I would want to know what the hell was going on. And had she simply had her wits about her and held firm to the questions at hand and not let her emotions take over, she probably would have gotten a lot more headway about what exactly was going on. Instead, he flipped the script, made her feel guilty, and she kind of was backed into a corner. Now, again, I'm kind of giving a lot to Joan and Maya about how they should have handled it and how they should have done this or that. But to be fair, all of the blame belongs on Darnell, not even Cecily, because Cecily can only do what Darnell allows her to. Yes, she's trashy as hell for doing that with a married man, because even if a married man allowed me to, I wouldn't want to, because why would I want to cavort with anybody being dishonest? And I would never build a relationship or a friendship on another woman's pain. So hell no, I would absolutely never cavort with a married man. Get the hell out of my face. I don't care how much you let me or not, just me on my own moral basis. I would never do that. So Cecily is trashy all on her own. But the person solely responsible for the betrayal here is Darnell. You are married. You know good and goddamn well, if your wife was sitting there, Cecily's nasty, crusty ass fingers wouldn't be all up in your face. You know that. So the fact that he did that tells me everything I need to know about Darnell. If he hasn't cheated yet, he's gearing up to. He's good and goddamn ready. So regardless of what has happened so far, what we do know is he allowed a woman to disrespect their marriage. That's all we really need to know. And so he was the person who committed the betrayal. Darnell is the person who is solely responsible for all of the havoc in this episode. To be fair, it clearly still kept going because when they eventually broke up, Cecily threw it in her face. So either way, regardless of what you would do, the person at fault is the person who created the scenario in the first place. And that's the motherfucker betraying everybody else. So those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you're on Patreon, then y'all saw me watch this for the first time after all this time, and my raw reactions. This episode had me stressed. It had me stressed out. So I hope you enjoyed this recap. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.